Hello, students. I'm your master, Mr.Shaikh.Mohammed.Zubair. Today, in history, we will study chapter number 8, An Ideal Ruler. Introduction. Before the foundation of Swaraj, Maharashtra was under the domination of the Adil Shahi, Siddhi, Portuguese, and Mughal powers. Shivaji Maharaj struggled against these powers. He faced all kinds of adverse circumstances. He founded an independent and sovereign Swaraj. He set up a system for the administration of this Swaraj. He turned Swaraj into a Surajya, a kingdom that sought the welfare of all. Maharaj created a new order with his capability. In the course of the conflict for the founding of the Swaraj, he himself had to face many grave dangers. Events like the meeting with the Afzal Khan, the siege of Panhala, the attack on Shaista Khan, the escape from Agra, all involved a great amount of risk. Shivaji Maharaj emerged successful in all these events. No harm came to him. Organizational skill. Maharaj inspired the people around him to work for the Swaraj. His organizational skill was unparalleled. With this skill, he drew around himself brave people who were also extremely loyal. These close associates of Maharaj performed their duty even by risking their own lives. There are many instances of this in the founding of the Swaraj, like Jiva Mahala, who killed Bada Sayyid at a critical moment during the meeting with Afzal Khan, Shiva Kashid, who crossed the siege of Panhalgarh in the disguise of Shivaji Maharaj, Baji Prabhu Deshpande, who blocked the advances of the enemy on the way to Vishalgarh, Murar Baji Deshpande, who defended the fort of Purandar, Tanaji Malusare, who sacrificed his life while conquering Sihagar, Hiroji Farzan, and Madari Mehetar, who risked their lives during the escape of Maharaj from Agra, etc. Maharaj took great care of his associates. For example, Kanhoji Jedhe was associated with Maharaj in the work of Swaraj from the very beginning. When the aging Kanhoji fell ill, Maharaj told him not to neglect his medicines or treatment on any account. Caring for the Royat. While establishing the Swaraj, Maharaj had to constantly struggle against his enemies. His subjects suffered due to enemy invasions. At such times, Maharaj used to take utmost care to protect the Royat. At the time of Shaista Khan's campaign, Maharaj warned the Deshmukh of the Roida valley not to fail in his duty towards the Royat. He told Deshmukh to visit every village and shift people to a safe place down the ghats. He strictly told him not to delay even for a moment. He further warned the Deshmukh that if he did not thus take care of the Royat, the Mughal army would take the people prisoner, and then it would be seen as the Deshmukh's doing. Maharaj also saw it too that the soldiers did not in any way cause any harm to the Royat. Policy regarding the army. Maharaj maintained a strict discipline in the army. He was particular about paying the salaries of the army in time. He made arrangements to pay the salaries of soldiers in cash. In various kingdoms in medieval India and elsewhere, there was a system of making payments to soldiers in the form of jagirs. Maharaj set this practice aside. There was a strict order to the army that any valuables collected during the campaigns in enemy territories were to be deposited with the government. Soldiers were honored for their bravery in a campaign. He looked after the maintenance of the families of soldiers who died in battle. He took care of the wounded soldiers. He treated well the enemy soldiers who had surrendered themselves or who had been captured. A policy of tolerance. Maharaj had to struggle against his enemies, that is, the Adil Shah, the Mughals, and the Siddhis. They were Islamic powers. While Maharaj struggled against them, he considered the Muslims in the Swaraj as his own subjects. At the time of the meeting with Afzal Khan, Siddhi Ibrahim was a trusted servant in his army. Siddhi Hilal was a Sardar in the army of Maharaj. Daulat Khan was an important officer in the navy of the Swaraj. Maharaj followed a tolerant religious policy. In the enemy territories that he conquered, he continued the facilities that had been given to the Muslim places of worship. His contemporary historian Kafi Khan writes about the tolerant religious policy of Maharaj. Shivaji had framed strict rules for his soldiers that during the campaigns they should not harm a mosque. If they came in possession of a copy of the Holy Quran, they should hand over the same with reverence to a Muslim. Now let's learn about the inspiration for freedom. The efforts that Maharaj made to establish the Swaraj have a special value. It is the value of freedom. He aimed at establishing and maintaining an independent and sovereign existence that did not accept the dominance of any other power. While struggling against the foreign powers, Maharaj inspired others too for freedom. When Chhatrasal, who was in the service of the Mughals, came to see Maharaj, he inspired him to create an independent kingdom in Bundelkhand. Let's learn about the greatness of Maharaja's work. Maharaj established Swaraj while fighting against many enemies. This action itself proves that he was a pioneer of a new era. But besides this action, many other noble qualities are found in his personality. Maharaj was very intelligent. He had mastered many arts. He was conversant with many languages and scripts. The teachings of his parents towards the establishment of Swaraj and ethics were deeply instilled in his mind. There was a blend of character and strength, nobility and valor in his personality. He had innumerable qualities like leadership, management, foresight, political diplomacy, effective policy about regional and military administration, commitment to truth and justice, attitude of equality, visualization of future activities, the skill of seeing his planned ventures through, rising over the calamities without giving up, alertness, vigilance, and so on. He used to punish those severely who would misbehave with women. He used to take care of all sections of the society like farmers, craftsmen, soldiers, traders, merchants, etc. He even established family bonds with them. He brought back into Swadharma their original religion, persons who had converted to another religion, though there was an opposition to such a reconversion at that time. At that time, there was opposition on religious grounds to crossing the seas. Yet he built sea forts like Singudurg and created a navy. This means that he had made preparation for countering foreign invasions that came from the sea. He became the ruler of Swaraj officially through his coronation. He later had a second coronation from a different religious perspective. All these actions show his revolutionary aspects in the field of religion. When there were threats to Swaraj, he would face them with or without his associates. Due to this, even his associates were ready to sacrifice their lives for Swaraj. Of course, his greatness was not confined to the quality of facing calamities bravely and fearlessly. He wanted to have an ethical, qualitative base to the Swaraj. That is why he would give orders even regarding minor issues along with important ones. The order that prohibited soldiers from taking vegetables from the fields of the peasants by force is exemplary from this point of view. The restrictions on the cutting of trees enforced by him are also noteworthy. He had ordered that the garbage on the fort should be burnt in an allotted space without dumping it elsewhere, and vegetables should be grown on its ash. It becomes clear from this fact that he would pay close attention to the minutest details while establishing Swaraj. He was not just a warrior, but also a sculptor who created a new independent, ethical, and cultured society. His greatness is comprehensive. In our national movement, Maharaj was a great source of inspiration. In his struggle for equality, Mahatma Jyotirao Phule described in his Pavadas the greatness of Shivaji Maharaj. Lokmanya Tilak brought about national awakening through the medium of Shiva Jayanti celebrations. Lala Lajpat Rai has written a book about the greatness of Maharaj. The great Tamil poet Subramaniam Bharati has written a poem about imaginary incident in which Shivaji Maharaj talks to his associates. Vishwakavi Rabindranath Tagore has written a long poem on Maharaj. Tagore sees his efforts to found Swaraj as efforts for realizing a noble cause. Sir Jadunath Sarkar has praised his achievements in his book Shivaji and His Times. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru has said that Maharaj did not belong to Maharashtra alone. He belonged to the whole Indian nation. He was a symbol of many virtues, more especially of love of country. All Indian languages have works that talk about him as an ideal ruler and a source of inspiration. Future generations too will continue to look upon this work of Shivaji Maharaj of founding the Swaraj and turning it into Surajya as a source of inspiration, as an ideal. Shivaji Maharaj was a great national hero. Children, this is a short exercise which you are supposed to answer in your history notebooks. Please write answers in your own words. Also relate to your textbooks. Once the school begins, respective subject teachers will take your books for corrections. I hope by this presentation you have learned the chapter very easily. Take care, children. Thank you, goodbye, and God bless.